why you don't seem to find. Do you wonder? I messed up. Do you wonder why men don't seem to find you interesting as the other girls who seem to have every man under a spell? Would you believe me if I told you that your first mistake was trying to receive love from a man was showing him love in the first place? I'm going to let you in on 5 secret truths about why men fall in love with uncertainty and how you can use it to get any man you want to be obsessed with you. Welcome to the Players Club. I hope you're participating and paying attention. If you are, please say here present in the live stream. That way I know you're here present and paying attention. Okay? Welcome. I messed up on the intro. Anyways, let's get started. Lennon Leaks here. We got SH here, Kitten here, Venny's here, Barry's here, and Lightning over in the YouTube chat. So glad to see all you people. Neoto's here. I hope I said your name right, Neoto. Chanel as well. Okay, let's get started, guys. We got such a great show to get into. So we're going to start with addiction. Okay? Now, when it comes to addiction, I'm talking specifically about the addiction to the energy and the focus required for you and on you because of this uncertainty. Okay. Now, let's imagine a scenario in which you have two different types of relationships. Let's imagine for your first relationship, you went through a really toxic relationship. And I'm talking toxic where you were with a guy where you had to be checking his phone all the time. You had to see who he's messaging. You had to go through his photos, his hidden folders. You had to go on his computer, his laptop. You had to be finding all these secret tricks and ways to get into his passwords and go onto his Instagram. You had to be checking his DMs. You had to be talking to this person and that person, and you had to do a whole Sherlock Holmes case anytime you wanted to figure out more information about him because he was constantly doing shady stuff. And that was how your relationship with that guy was. Every chance you had, every morsel of your energy went into chasing after him and trying to figure out what he was doing and discover what this clue meant and where he was going and who he was spending his time with and why he wasn't speaking to you and why he wasn't texting you. You spent so much time and energy focused on being an FBI agent. That was relationship number 1. Now let's imagine that toxic relationship ends. And then you have a second relationship in which you meet a guy who's nice, he's down to earth. He doesn't make you chase him around for information. He doesn't give you that same anxiety or uncertainty in this case, or insecurity when it comes to the relationship. He affirms you. He's very communicative. He tells you where he's going. You know his friends. There's not anything shady about him. Now, while it's amazing to experience that, and it's awesome to be in a healthy relationship, you also notice after a while that you feel less. Right? And when I say feel less, I mean you feel like it takes less of your brain power and less of your energy to be in this relationship. Now, even though it's supposed to be a good thing, when you're experiencing it, it somehow doesn't feel like a good thing. And let me know in the chat if this has ever actually happened to you. Somehow it doesn't feel like a good thing. Simply because you become so accustomed to being in a relationship that requires 110% of your time, energy, and focus because you got to chase every clue down like Sherlock Holmes, like Scooby-Doo, that being in a relationship in which you don't have to chase every single clue down like Scooby-Doo or Sherlock Holmes actually feels like it's uninteresting because it requires less attention, energy, and focus. Okay? Now, when I talk about addiction, what I'm referring to is, in this example, how the addiction to the amount of energy and focus required to figure out and solve the problems and issues and put 2 and 2 together in a relationship can become an addiction in itself. Okay, right? Because all of that chasing after all of these clues, trying to put all these pieces together, really stems from the uncertainty and the insecurity that the relationship or the person is giving you. Okay? And you become addicted to chasing after that insecurity, that each individual clue feels so important, so big, to finding out what the master plan is, right? And it just becomes like a consistent puzzle that you have to figure out all the time. Milena said, yep, healthy is boring. And I seen someone else in the TikTok chat say, yeah, I've experienced that before, right? And the crazy part about the addiction stemming from the uncertainty is you can give men that same uncertainty without actually having anything wrong that you're doing, without actually doing anything shady. Because whether or not something shady is actually happening, the function of the addiction to the uncertainty and the attention and focus required to pay attention to someone who you feel just a little bit insecure about, or a lot of bit insecure about in the example that I gave, can become addicting. Okay. And so that is part of the reason why the men fall in love with the uncertainty. It's the addiction to the amount of attention and focus required on trying to figure out, what is she about? What is she on? What does she want from me? Does she even like me? Is she even interested in me? Is she playing me? Is she using me? And the thing about it is, the mistake that you're making in your relationships and in your dating life is that when you like a guy, you're quick to try and ease his anxiety. You want to share with him all the emotions you've ever felt about him, to spill your entire heart out to him, all of your feelings out to him, all of everything you've ever thought about him, and make him feel as secure as he possibly can in this relationship when you really like a guy. But while that might be good in theory, it actually prevents him from having that same addictive feeling towards you and towards trying to figure out, right, the uncertainty that he feels around you and with you in the relationship. I want you to understand, someone can be in a relationship with you or be trying to build one with you and still feel uncertain about you. Let me ask you guys in the chat, because I don't just want it to be me assuming, have you ever been in a relationship or a talking stage with someone who has acknowledged that they like you, but yet you still find yourself on a daily basis questioning if they actually like you? Let me know in the chat if you've ever experienced that before, being in that relationship. But then, even though they say that they like you or that they're interested in you, you still question based on things that you see, things that you experience. It could be the smallest thing that happens and you're like, I don't know, do they really like me? Or, oh, I don't know, they're taking quite a while to text me back. Is he really interested in me? Does he really love me? Or is he just saying that, right? And it's crazy. I see a lot of people saying yes. Rick says yes. Thado says yes. Madison says yes. Angela says yes. Katchin says, yep, mixed signals. Not 2 days are the same. I see Lena Leak says yes. And she says absolutely. T-Pros says yes. I see a bunch of you. SH as well says yes. Okay, so clearly this has happened to a lot of us, including myself. Okay. And the thing about it is when you are truly uncertain or insecure about someone, it triggers something in you where every fiber of your being becomes obsessed, and we'll talk about obsession in a bit, becomes obsessed with trying to figure out the answer to that question, right? And like I said, you're asking yourself, do you really like me? Are you really interested in me? What are you really about? What are you really here for? Those are the same type of questions that go through a man's mind when he's trying to think to himself, okay, what does she want? How does she feel? You know, does she like me? Is she here for the right reasons? Is she just using me? Does she not care about me, right? And it creates all of that obsession, right? It creates all of that focus on you trying to figure out what you're about, trying to figure out how to gain security in the relationship. And that is good. Like I said, the problem is when you feel like you like the guy so much that you're constantly trying to ease his anxiety and affirm him to the point where he no longer has any insecurity as it relates to the relationship or as it relates to you. Remember, you're joining the players club by stepping in here. Okay. You're not joining the sit back and everything be sunshines and rainbows club. Okay. We have to understand that if you really want people to be obsessed and addicted to you and really be at your mercy here, you're not just going to have to inspire them by doing things that they like and enjoy and eliciting what we call positive emotions. You're also going to have to figure out how to elicit what we would consider negative emotions and elicit anxiety, because all of those strong emotions in the right balance is what's going to make someone stick to you like glue and chase after you as if they're an addict. Okay. And that's what you want. You want them to be chasing after you like an addict. They said that the screen froze on TikTok. Let me know on YouTube if the screen is frozen. For some reason, whenever there's freezing, it usually only happens on TikTok. Okay. So very important that you know how to play into that addiction, right? Because that addiction stems from that uncertainty. So if you give him uncertainty, you're in a very good place. Do not be rushing when you're in your relationships or your talking stages or whatever to constantly affirm your man about how much you like him, how much you're interested in him and all that good stuff. Now, okay, there's a balance here. I'm not saying don't ever give your man any sort of confirmation when you've been with him for 5 years or something like that. But what I am saying is in the process of building that desire, of building that interest, you never want to jump out of the boat and just be like, first, second date, I like you so much. You're the best. You're the best man I've ever dated. You're so amazing. I don't like anyone more than you. I don't see anyone more than you, right? Don't be jumping out the window trying to give him security in the relationship. The truth is, the men fall in love with the uncertainty, right? And the insecurity and anxiety that you make them feel. Why? Because it forces them to put their focus on you in order to try to figure out what the truth is, what the answers are, what the relationship is, and all of that time and energy focused on trying to figure these things out and solve these problems in turn is focused on you. And so what happens when he's constantly thinking of you, he's constantly thinking about you, he's constantly replaying all these situations in his mind, he convinces himself, oh, I'm thinking of her so much because I desire her so much because I'm so interested in her. And then what happens after that? He begins to look for all the confirmations of the narrative he's building in his mind. Okay? Right? As he's looking for confirmations of that narrative, I must be thinking of her because of how much I desire her. I must be thinking of her because of how much I'm interested in her. And so what is all he experiences? All he experiences is this consistent desire for you. Okay. So it's very important that you send him down a spiral. I know it sounds crazy, but you send him down a spiral that all he can think about is, how do I figure out how to solve this uncertainty that is existing in our relationship? I don't know if she likes me. I don't know if she's interested in me. I know that we're together, but I just don't feel like she really is the most interested in me or likes me as much as I like her. The truth of the matter is, I don't care what type of your relationship you're in, someone is always going to like one person more than the other. Let me know, actually, I want to see, for those of you who it's not frozen for, I want to see how many of you are a believer in that. Do you believe that in every relationship, there has to be one person that likes the other more, right? I'm curious because I believe that. I don't know if you guys believe that, and it's fine if you don't believe that, but I'm very curious to see what you guys think. Okay. I personally believe, even if it's just the smallest percentage, even if it's just 1%, I believe in every relationship that one person always ends up liking one more than the other. Let me know if you guys think that is true or has some validity to it. Melina says, yes, I believe that. Kim says a guy has to like her more or he gets complacent. Okay. I see SH says yes. Angie says yes. Mita says yes. Noel says, I guess so. I feel like he got the ick once I liked him back because he hates himself. Okay, interesting. Right? Hopefully says, how do you know who likes the other person more? I promise you, see, this is one of those things where it's more of a feeling and an understanding than it is something you can point out physically. So for example, I don't know if you've ever, deep down in your heart, if you are being honest with yourself, if you're in a relationship where that person likes you more or you like the other person more. So a lot of the times it's actually not hard to be honest with yourself about. And especially if you're not in the relationship and you're just perceiving the relationship from the outside perspective. So you're perceiving a friend's relationship or something like that. You can definitely tell who likes one person more than the other. Okay. It's fairly obvious, right? And it's funny because the best way for you to get because you're not here to not get what you want. Let's be so for real. Okay. You're here to get what you want out of relationships and to get what you want out of men. You want men to treat you a particular way, and you're here to listen to me to give you information and knowledge to figure out how you can accomplish that goal. Okay? So my point being is that you clearly want a relationship in which the guy likes you more, that you can then be the dictator of what flies in your relationship and what you receive from that man. There's nothing wrong with that. I like that control too. I want to be in the driver's seat. We all do. Okay. So if that's the case, right, then you have to understand how to elicit the right emotions out of him or give him the right type of anxiety or uncertainty that will actually make him be the one chasing after you, make him be the one that likes you more, make him be the one trying to get your approval, make him be the one seeking after your acceptance, because then you'll be in the driver's seat and you'll be able to dictate the terms under which the relationship falls. It will stop you from getting played by men because they're in the driver's seat. So newsflash to you, whenever you've gotten played in your relationships or played by any man in your life, it's been because they're the ones in the driver's seat. They're the ones with the control. You're liking them more. You're pursuing them. You're chasing after them. You're seeking their approval. They're the ones with all the control. You're the one with all the anxiety, and they can manipulate your emotions to get from you what they want. And for the men, most of the time, they just want to utilize you for your squirtle and walk away. Okay. So you can do that same thing, but you have to figure out how to channel and structure your approach in the right way that you elicit the right emotions out of him. This is why I say men fall in love with the uncertainty. They naturally love to chase. Okay. Obviously, we've talked about chasing plenty of times on the show. I don't want to get too deep into chasing on this show, but obviously they love to chase. And that's what's most natural to them. That's what keeps them in their masculine, when they feel like they're chasing after something they really want and desire. And they're at least a little bit successful in it, even if it's hard. Okay. That's why men love video games. And so the addiction to the fact that you're not giving him that security forces him to focus in more on the relationship than if he were just to be able to sit back and relax. Like the example I gave you guys at the very beginning, right? Of you in a relationship that's very healthy right after being in one that's very toxic, and the lack of focus required and energy required to be in that relationship actually makes you feel as if you're bored or more uninterested in that relationship, because you become accustomed to having to solve Scooby-Doo clues all the time. And you can elicit that same feeling out of the men without actually having to like cheat or do anything bad or do anything actually shady. But he can still feel like, oh my God, this guy wants her. What's going on with this? What is she doing? She's so busy. She never has time for me. She has so many friends. She spends so much time doing other things other than worshiping me or caring about me or paying so much attention to me. I'm not the be all and end all of her life. So who is the be all and end all of her life? And he starts chasing after all these clues that don't really exist and trying to see, oh my God, can I catch her doing something? Is something else going on? Why doesn't she care about me as much as I care about her? And all of this leads to the snowball effect, where now that he's trying to figure out why you don't like him as much as he likes you, or why you don't seem as interested in him as he's interested in you, it just ends up making him more and more interested in you and care more and more about everything you say, everything you do, every place you go. And it just creates a vicious obsession. And we'll get to obsession in a bit. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, we have the debate. Okay. So like I talked about with the addiction, and how it's the addiction to trying to figure out what's going on with her. What does she want? What does she expect? How does she feel? Right? That debate, and I talked to you guys about this in a couple previous shows, that debate also branches out to, she loves me. She loves me not. She loves me. She loves me not. She loves me. She loves me not. And he's just debating in himself all of these different possibilities, right? Because when a man is sitting back and debating, how does she feel? What does she want? What is our relationship? He will literally go, and tell me if you've been in this situation, because it's the same thing, vice versa. You will literally go, okay, if she doesn't like me, if she's not interested in me, let me go through all the dates we had together, all the time we spent together, and look for the reasons that could confirm that she doesn't like me. Okay. And right after he comes up with all of those, or thinks all about those in his mind and replays all of those moments, he'll then directly compare those to all of the moments that would confirm that you do like him, that you are interested in him, that you do want him. And it's a constant loop of just debating, okay, these are all the reasons why she must not like me or be not interested in me, because she doesn't text back too often. When we go on dates, she's happy, but she doesn't seem so happy that she wants to be on a new date. And, she doesn't seem that interested in me, or she doesn't seem that, whatever it may be. And then he compares that directly to, okay, so now that we're on this date, she gave me a compliment. She said this nice thing to me. She said that nice thing to me. And it seems like she's pretty interested in me. And it seems like she wants me. And it seems like she's happy to be in this relationship. Okay, right? And that's what you want. You want him to be debating back and forth, trying to figure out what it is, right, that you feel that you want in this relationship. Give me 1 second. I'm going to fix my camera. Right? Okay? So it's very important that you understand how that works. Okay? Don't make the mistake of not allowing him the freedom and the ability to debate, okay? Or what's the word I'm looking for? In his mind, go back and forth with himself, trying to replay and understand what it is you feel, what it is you want, what it is you think. This is, okay, I don't want to get mad yet. We just started. This is why I always tell you guys, right? When you go out on these dates, when you're meeting these men, be as quiet as a church mouse. Okay? Excuse me. Be as quiet as a church mouse. You don't need to spend a whole bunch of time yapping on this date. Okay? It's unnecessary. And what you're also doing is, I get that you want to be communicative. I get that you want him to know you better. I get that you want him to understand you. I get that you want him to care and hear your point of view and hear your life story. But at the end of the day, every time you speak, you give him just a little bit more security and a little bit less uncertainty. If you don't speak and you do it strategically in the right way, you leave him with the uncertainty that he must debate to himself and come to his own conclusion about how you feel. That's why, if you truly want my advice to you would be to, whenever you go out on these dates, be as vague and general as you possibly can while asking as many detailed questions as you possibly can. Detailed questions about his life, about his past, about where he's been, about what he wants. Keep going on and on and on and on. And as you do this, right, you will get better at the skill of asking good questions, where each question leads to a follow-up question, another question leads to a follow-up question. And in the process of you asking these questions, you make sure you present yourself as being interested in each one of these answers, right? Because making yourself seem as if, oh my God, every piece of information I'm just hanging on to by a thread, and this is like the most thrilling movie I've ever experienced. Can you please tell me more? That approach, that energy will continue making him excited to tell you more and tell you more and tell you more, without him realizing that you're not actually talking about yourself. But what happens is, by the time he leaves that date and he's not with you anymore, all he can think about is, damn, all I did was talk about myself, right? But they don't necessarily think that to themselves, but they think, well, I don't really know much about her. She didn't tell me too much about how she feels or what she wants. And so they're left to infer or assume what you want based on the dates that you went on, based on your body language, based on the couple of things you might have said. But what that leads to is he begins over analyzing every single little piece of information about the time you spent together, about your last hangout, about your last date, trying to understand and decipher what it is you want, what it is you feel, and if you even like him in the first place. And that's good. Once that debate starts, remember, I talked to you guys earlier about the addiction, and the addiction to the focus of energy on you specifically all the time, 24/7. That debate starts, and all he can think about is the amount of focus and attention required to try to figure out what is it that you're feeling? What is it that you're thinking? What is it that you want from me? I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't get you. I'm trying to figure you out. And so even when he goes on these dates with you, the dates stop being about, oh, let me sit back and enjoy the date and not think about anything and turn my mind off and relax. The dates start being a job where everything you do, he wants to see, okay, she's picking up her spoon instead of the fork to eat her rice. Okay, so does that mean that she's not interested in me because she's eating with the spoon to try to finish her meal faster, and she's trying to finish her meal faster because she's trying to end this date faster because she doesn't like me? Oh, but look, but she ordered the iced tea, and if she orders the iced tea, she'll probably drink a little bit more. But if she drinks a little bit more, she'll probably go to the bathroom more. And if she goes to the bathroom, maybe she'll stay on the date longer. So does that mean that she's more interested in me because she wants to stay on the date long? And it's like everything you do becomes this crazy analyzation of trying to figure out what each thing, object, body movement, facial expression means. And all that leads to is that addiction, and we talked about addiction earlier, but that addiction and obsession of his mind is consumed with you, okay? Absolutely consumed with you. Because all of that debating, all of that back and forth, all of that analyzing, he has no room, literally, no room left in his mind to think about any other woman or any other thing other than you. That's good. That's good. You're in a position of power now. That's good. Right? All that uncertainty forces him to only be able to focus his time and attention and brain power on you, to figure you out. That uncertainty is really him trying to figure you out. That's why it's not good to spend your dates trying to be an open book that nobody has any, you don't have any mystery to you. You don't have any uncertainty to you. There's nothing that would give him anxiety or insecurity as it relates to you, because you're busy thinking, oh, if I'm an open book, if I'm just honest with everyone, if I just share everything, then everyone will love me just for who I am and appreciate me for who I am. Cool. That sounds good in a Disney movie about a utopia that we don't live in. But in reality, when you're an open book like that and you don't give people any anxiety or uncertainty about you, they just don't think about you. Okay? Unfortunately. And when people don't think about you, they're never going to be obsessed with you. They're never going to chase after you. I want you to really think about what it takes for a man to be in a mental state where he says, I need to have you, to the point where I will chase after you. I'm going to take you out on dates. I'm going to pay for every date. I'm going to do the nicest things I possibly can for you. I'm going to go over the top for you. I'm going to do everything I possibly can to get you. There's nothing that will stop me in this world from getting you. I want you to really think about what mental state is required for a guy to have that level of hunger towards you, because it is a hunger. You guys always ask me, why do I compare pineapples and compare guys' desire to like food? Because it's not the same as starving. Getting pineapples not the same. I'm telling you, for men, it's a very different experience. The way we desire women, it is like a hunger. When you truly desire a woman, it is like a hunger. Okay? You feel like an animal. And my point being is that when you're not allowing him to have that hunger by trying to just chase after you, trying to figure you out, trying to put two and two together, trying to do his absolute best to get you, because you want to be an open book, that you think you being an open book and sharing a whole bunch about yourself and talking a whole bunch about yourself and giving him as much security as you possibly can, because you think that that's the right way to go about it or how you should go about it. What ends up happening is he just sits back and says, yeah, she's cool. There's nothing pulling at me that makes me feel like I need to know this about her. I need to understand this about her. I need to make sense of this about her. Someone says how to make him chase after me. This is exactly what I'm describing. So you got to be listening. This is exactly what I'm describing, right? There is no anxiety making him feel like he must figure these things out. Let me know in the situations that those of you said, where you were in a relationship or a situationship where someone said that the guy said, oh, I like you and stuff like that, but you still find yourself questioning it. Okay. Let me know if you would describe that feeling as anxiety, or would you describe that feeling as joy or happiness? Okay. What is the emotion? Sorry, that would be a better question. What is the emotion you would link to the feeling that you were having when it came to that relationship? Okay. Give me an emotion that you would link to the feeling you were having in that relationship. That's what I want you guys to answer. It can be anything. I just want to understand, what is the feeling you felt like you were continuously experiencing? Dato says anxiety, right? She also says restlessness. Anaya says yes, anxious. Yearning, Dato says. Okay. Lish says torture. Torture, I like that one. Okay. Torture. Let's see here. The Hunger Games anxiety. Confusion, breaking his ego. Okay. Frustration, Helene says. Unsafe, no trust. Okay, interesting. Panic, Madison says. Inner rage. All right. More anxiety at the unknown. Anxiety, confusion, constant wondering and questioning, Melina says. Frustration, Helene said. Okay, stressed out, Kim says. Now, the reason I ask you guys that is, if you noticed, nobody described the emotion that they felt when they were trying to figure out, what does this guy want? What does he feel? How does he, what is this? What does that mean? What does that mean? Right? Nobody described any of those emotions that they would associate with the feeling, right? With the idea. Nobody described positive emotions. People said stress, panic, unsafe, rage, confusion, anxiety, torment, right? Like those would all be considered negative emotions, but you felt those emotions in a strong way. And so the reason I say that is because I want you to understand how being able to elicit strong emotions, even and especially the negative ones, can actually work in your favor when we're talking about men falling in love with you. Listen, I know that sounds so crazy that the more negative emotions you can elicit from a guy, the more he'll want you. But it's the truth, okay? A lot of that anxiety can only come from a place of uncertainty, can only come when he doesn't know or doesn't feel like things are connecting or making sense. That's what forces him and pushes him and motivates him to try to figure you out. When there's nothing to figure out, he doesn't have any anxiety towards you, but then he also finds you quite uninteresting. Okay? And if you're in a relationship with a man that finds you quite uninteresting, it'll be very difficult to get him to desire you. And that's a very dangerous place to be. Because if you're in a relationship where you find it difficult to get your man to desire you, you're going to have a tough time keeping that man, or at least keeping him in his pants. Right? So debate is very important. So number 1 was addiction. Number 2 was the debate, right? Rosie says how to tell if you share too much info. If you share too much info, if you leave the date feeling like you don't have a much deeper understanding of him. Okay? You should always walk away from each one of your dates or your hangouts feeling like you have a much more in-depth understanding of him, or at least a particular experience that he's had in his life. If you look back on the date and you think to yourself, yeah, I shared a lot about something that I experienced, you did the date wrong. Okay? Not that you should never share anything about yourself, but in reality, people don't feel closer to you by hearing you talk to them about yourself. They feel closer to you by talking to you about themselves. Okay, so the activity of you sharing with people is actually pointless based on what you're trying to inspire and create a situation where you get what you want. Okay, so if you're going to get what you want and you're going to have him desire you more and like you more and chase after you, then you need to be in a position of power where you sit back, relax, observe, and he is the one on the offensive. Okay. Right? Noel said he's such a natural yapper. I need to say less and let him do his thing. I 100% agree. And also my advice to you guys, some of you guys are like, that's only gonna attract a narcissist because the narcissists, they love to talk about themselves. Are you trying to say I should attract a narcissist? Are you trying to say I should only want a guy who only wants to talk about himself? That's so wrong that you think I should want a narcissist. I should be able to share and communicate about myself. Look. Okay? Yes. Someone talking a lot about themselves can feel like they only care about themselves. Yes, I know that. However, in the process of them talking so much about themselves, they will reveal to you a lot about themselves. You are at an advantage if they reveal to you a lot about themselves because you get to see who they truly are without actually having to give your Squirtle away and then realize who they truly are after you give your Squirtle away. Okay? You get to sit back, relax, take in everything he has to say and everything he has to share. And in the process of you better understanding who he is and what he's about, you can then make a decision on the relationship based on that new understanding. Okay, so even if he is a narcissist and he shares about himself to, he's blue in the face and all he does is yap, 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 you will eventually learn, hey, I'm with a narcissist. Hey, I'm with someone who I don't want to spend the rest of my life with. Hey, actually, I realize that I'm not very interested in you because you yapped your way out of some Squirtle, out of some pineapples. That's good for you. You see how that works in your favor? So even if he is a narcissist, even if he is self-centered, even if he only cares about himself, right? And he's yapping, eventually he's going to start yapping to you some truths that he didn't intend to share with you. And you're going to figure out that this isn't someone you wanted to spend your time with anyways, in which case that's a good thing. Right? Are you guys following me so far? Right? All you have to do is let them talk, right? And like I said, it serves two purposes, because as you let them talk, you learn more about them, and it also prevents them from having any real information about you. And because they don't have real information about you, it creates anxiety in them where they don't quite feel like they understand you. They don't quite feel like they are certain about you. They're not secure in you or the relationship. While that might sound bad in theory, as long as you're not actually doing anything, right? Meaning like there's nothing actually for them to discover, right? Them feeling insecurity as it relates to the relationship will only push them to try to figure you out, understand you, chase after you, right? Get answers, receive answers. They'll turn into the FBI agent that's trying to meet all your friends, that's trying to understand where it is you're going, what time, how much time you're spending in a place, trying to figure out who you're hanging out with, even though you're not actually doing anything shady. But his focus and attention will be on you. Okay? I want to ask you guys a question, actually. Let me know in the chat, because this is more of a girl's question, so I really want to see how you guys feel about this. Have you ever been in a relationship or a situation where you kind of wondered why your man or that man, he was never curious about you? Like anytime you would go out, anytime you'd hang out with friends, anytime you'd tell him like you're going somewhere or doing something, or you'd like disappear for whatever, he would just not care. And it just seemed like you were in a relationship or a situationship where he just never seemed to care. Like he was never pressed about you. Do you understand what I mean? How many of you have been in a relationship or a situation like that where you just felt, you kind of were curious, like, why are you never pressed about me? Why are you never like concerned, or you don't really care to be like, what's going on with this? Like you're not trying to figure out anything about me. You're not trying to understand what's going on better. How many of you have been in a situation like that before? Because I know that being in a situation like that can probably make you feel like, or make you wonder, why is it that you don't seem to be very interested in me? You're not very, even though I'm not necessarily doing anything, how come you're not trying to figure out if I'm doing anything? Why do you not seem to have, why are you so nonchalant as it relates to the relationship, right? Scotty says, yes, why? Love You Being You says, yes, like he didn't care. Neek says, me, right? Nicole says, I said way too much on my date. After the date, he was still interested. Noel said he wants to know everything about me, but hides every ounce of jealousy. See, this is good. This is good. You want these guys that you're in a relationship with, right? Because the same way Noel just said it, you can feel that in the guys who really do want you. You can feel it. Even if they don't say it, you can feel that they're trying to figure things out and they're starting to sweat a little bit. You want men to sweat, okay? That what you guys are describing when you're like, why doesn't he care? It's like the men that they don't sweat you. Okay? When you give him a lot of security and he never has any anxiety as it relates to you or the relationship, he doesn't feel like he has to sweat you at all. And I know when we're talking about a healthy relationship, it doesn't sound right that you should be with someone that you have to make sweat. The truth of the matter is, when people fear you, right? When they fear you, that's when they respect you. Okay? And when they respect you, they will act right. This is the players club, which you're entering, in which you're trying to get the relationships and the lifestyle that you want. So if you want men to act right, they do have to fear you, a healthy amount, of course, because that healthy amount of fear will lead to a respect that in turn they will act right. Why do you think certain men say things like, yeah, guys, I'm not doing that. My wife, she doesn't play that. Yeah, guys, I'm not participating in that activity. My wife, she would literally, my head would be on a stick. Yeah, I'm not going there, guys. My wife said I got to be back by 1 a.m. I'm heading home at 1 a.m. Where do you think that stems from? That stems from respect. But where do you think that respect comes from? That respect comes from the fear that if I don't do the right thing, say the right thing, or act the right way and according to how I should be acting, I have a fear that I will lose the woman in which I desire and want so much. Okay? Without that underlying fear of losing the woman who they want so much and desire so much, they will not have a reason to do or say the right thing or act the right way. It keeps them in line. Okay, which is why I say men fall in love with the uncertainty and the debate and the addiction. Okay, so number one, we had addiction. We had debate. Number two. Number three was okay. Number three is perception. Okay, so your perception is centered around what value he thinks you have based on how you present yourself. Okay, so let me explain. Let's say I had this iPhone in my hand, and I also had another secret item, let's say in a big black box. I've given you guys this example before, okay? I want you naturally, let's say this box, it was a big black box with some huge metal locks on it. It's got like gold, it's black. It's got huge metal locks. It's all locked up. It's got multiple locks. It's a big black box, okay? It's in this hand. And in this other hand, I had an iPhone. And I asked you, I said, which item would you just take a guess? Which item do you think is more valuable? Do you think that the iPhone sitting in my hand is more valuable, or whatever item is sitting in this gigantic, huge black box with a whole bunch of locks on it? Which item would you guess if you had to? Let me know in the chat. I want to hear you guys answer. Which item would you guess has more value monetarily, financially? The iPhone or whatever item is sitting in the gigantic black box? I see Scotty says the black box. Nicolina says the box. Coco says the box. Cash says the phone. Okay. Beth says the box. Jenny says the box. Lishi says the iPhone. Mimi says the iPhone. Black box. Rosemary says box. Monet says box. Right? Love you says I'm curious. Someone says the box. Someone says what's in the box. Right? Okay. The reason I asked that question is because if a lot of us would perceive the item that is sitting inside the black box to be more valuable, despite not having any actual confirmation that the item sitting in the black box is actually more valuable, that should tell you that value is not actually based on real value. Value is based on perception. Okay? What I mean by that is your perceived value of what's inside this box is based on the fact that you assume an item in a large box that is locked away would naturally be more valuable than an item readily available to you sitting in my hand. Okay? And because your perception is that an item sitting behind a barrier is more valuable than an item that would be readily available to you, you perceive this item to be more valuable even if it's not. Because in reality, I could pull out of the black box a penny, in which case the item sitting inside the black box is not as valuable as the iPhone. But it doesn't matter what's actually sitting inside the box. What matters is its perceived value. You don't base your perception of its value based on what's actually sitting inside the box because you don't know. You base its value on what you perceive it to be based on your assumptions. Okay? And the reason I say that is because when we're talking about why men fall in love with uncertainty, when he sees you, that you don't seem to have time for him, that you seem to always be busy, that you seem to have lots of places to go and things to do that don't consist of sitting around and waiting for him to text you back, or waiting for him to call you, or waiting for him to Snapchat you, or waiting for him to speak to you or ask you out on a date. What happens is his perceived value of you goes up. Why? Because in the process of him being uncertain, like, what does she be doing with all her time? Where does she go? Who does she hang out with? Where does she spend her time? Why is she not super wondering why I haven't texted her in a couple of days? Why isn't she wondering, I said I was going to call her and I didn't call her, but she's not calling me out and not calling her. What is she doing? How come she never texts me back? How come she never answers my phone calls? What is she doing? All of that uncertainty that is created because you seem to have so many other things to do with your time other than obsess over him, ends up making him more interested in you because he doesn't understand why you're not very interested in him. And it raises your perceived value, even if you're the same person, you're just a regular person, because all he can think about is why you give him so much insecurity. And he's trying to figure out why someone who says that they like him, says that they're interested in him, says they want to date him, seems to be very uninterested in them. Okay? Right? Because that's how we feel. It's hard to hear someone say, yeah, I like spending time with you. Yeah, I like going on dates with you. Yeah, I like going out with you. But at the same time, you're like, well, you don't ever really call me. You don't ever really text me. You don't ever really seem to have too much time with me. And that's confusing to me. That makes me feel insecure. So despite what you're saying, I feel uncertain about our relationship. Now I'm trying to decipher, I'm back again in the spiral. I'm trying to decipher, okay, well, what does this all mean? Because you're saying these words to me, right? And you're telling me how much you care about me. You're telling me how you want this relationship. But I feel like if you really wanted it, you would be as obsessed with me and think about me as much as I think about you. And they'll begin confusing themselves and forcing themselves down a spiral where they're like, but I think about you every second of the day. Why? Because they're so uncertain about you. All the time they spend thinking about you is the debate of, do they like me? Do they care about me? Do they want me? And that feeling, right, in comparison to how much they seem to be too busy for you and not have a lot of time for you, makes them feel like, right, makes us men feel like, I'm thinking about her 24/7. She's constantly on my mind 24/7. I'm always wondering what she's doing, but she never seems to care or want to know what I'm doing or care where I'm going or have time to be obsessing and calling me 20 times. Right? And they begin to have all of this frustration built up because of all the anxiety that they feel towards you and the relationship. Their perception of you is thrown all out of whack, even though you're the same person, simply based on the fact that you don't seem to care that much or be that interested. Even if you are, okay? Remember, I told you the perception is what we base it on, not its reality. And remember, I always tell you guys, the difference is not because you're super unattractive. Most of you are attractive women. So it's not about getting men. It's not about men not treating you the way you want to be treated because you're unattractive. It's really about the idea that in order to get men to treat you how you want to be treated, or in the way that you want to be treated, or to get what you want out of them, you have to have a particular approach, because when you like a guy, you approach them very differently than when you don't like a guy, which is why the guys that you don't like seem to be the most interested in you, if you've ever noticed that. And it's the same reason why the guys you do like seem to be the least interested in you, because your approach drastically changes simply because you're really interested in that guy. But sometimes we don't realize that, because obviously it's just naturally happening to us, but we don't realize how we become more clingy, more open, and try to give them more security, hoping that they'll like us as much as we like them. But in reality, all that security that it gives them doesn't allow them to have the same anxiety that a guy you didn't like would feel if he was trying to court you or date you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? And so I know some of you are like, okay, so but then how do I work on the perception? How do I make him feel like I'm uninterested? How do I make him feel like he has uncertainty because I don't seem to have time with him? Very simple. I tell you guys this all the time. It's this. This is the key to a lot of your problems. Okay? Good and bad. This is the key to a lot of your problems, because a lot of guys also put a lot of weight on this. I'm telling you not to put weight on this, but a lot of guys also put a lot of weight on this, right? What I mean by that is a lot of guys will start thinking you might not be interested in them if you're not texting them a bunch, right? If you're not texting them a bunch, you don't seem to have time for phone calls. You seem to be too busy going out and having a great life that you're not on the phone 24/7, texting them, Snapchatting them, DMing them, sending them IG memes, sending them TikTok videos. They begin to perceive you as someone who is less interested in them and doesn't seem to have time for them. That is good. Why? Because that anxiety grows and he begins to say, "Oh, but you're not into me. You got so much going on. You're going to forget about me. And you're not going to care about me anymore if I don't do the absolute best and the absolute most to show you how amazing I am and how awesome I am, because your life is full of extravagant awesomeness that if I'm not as awesome as the rest of your life, you're literally going to not remember me anymore." And that's an ego hit. So what does that force him to do? That fear and that anxiety drives him to try to put his absolute best foot forward in the relationship, right? Or in the talking stage, in the dating stage, that you will be interested in him and not focus so much on all the other amazing things you have going on in your life. He begins to try to prove it to you, right? He's in prove it mode. You want men in your life that you're dating to be in prove it mode. Because once they're in prove it mode, they're going to pull out all the stops to try to show you how they're the man for you. They're going to be trying to make sure they take you to the nicest place to eat. They're going to be trying to make sure they're the most respectful, kind guy they can be. They're going to try to make sure they can compliment you as much as they possibly can. They're going to be going out of their way to do as much as they possibly can to show you they are the man for you. Because they understand, right, that the only way you would not have time for them or not be very interested in them, be so busy that you can't have time to be texting them and calling them and all that stuff, is if you had a bunch of other stuff going on. And if you have a bunch of other stuff going on, well, that probably means there's a lot of other people, places, and things that are competing for your time. And what happens if people are competing for your time? You become like the black box where your perceived value is raised. Because the only reason I would assume that you don't have time and there's a lot of other people competing for your time is because you're so valuable that a lot of other people want your time. Are you following me? As my perception shifts that you're uninterested in me, right? Or you don't have time for me because there are other people who want your time. Now I believe that you're even more valuable than you already were. Okay? And my perception shifts to, oh, she is a hot commodity. If she's a hot commodity, I got to be a hot commodity, or I got to show myself to be worthy of this hot commodity, which means I got to chase after her. I got to show her things. I got to do the best I possibly can for her. I got to make sure I'm not messing up for her. I got to make sure I put everything in the right place that she will be happy with me. Okay, Tato says, affirmation, I am the black box. It's funny. We'll talk too about like black cat energy, because they're all the concepts are very similar in themselves. You understand what I'm saying? Right? And once that perception shifts, right? Once that perception shifts, it automatically makes him see you as more valuable. And when he sees you as more valuable, he treats you as more valuable. Are you guys following what I'm saying? Right? Mimi says, this is happening to me at the moment. This guy really wants my attention. Right? And I'm telling you, when you start approaching the guys you do like as if you don't like them, right? You'll be shocked at how much they'll press forward towards you and take the offensive. And it's great when guys take the offensive because you're in a position of power. Don't be anxious yourself. See, that's the problem. You become anxious yourself that, oh my God, okay, he's taking the offensive. If I don't show him that I care back, he's going to not be interested in me anymore, or he's going to think that I don't like him, and I don't want that. So I'm going to make sure I take the offensive and show him how much I care about him and want him back. That's where the mistakes comes in, because the moment you do that, right, he realizes, oh, whoa, I was on the offensive, but now she's on the offensive. So if I take a step back, that's perfectly fine. I can actually sit here and receive because she's coming at me now, right? You're coming at him because you're anxious that I'll be uninterested, right? And as soon as I take a step back, you now become even more anxious because now what you were telling yourself feels like it's coming true. As you take the offensive because you're worried about me not being interested in you anymore, if you sit back and relax and don't say anything, now what happens when you take the offensive, I take a step back. Now you're like, oh, so it's actually happening. It's actually happening. You're not interested in me anymore. No, but wait. You were on the offensive before. So let me show you how much I'm interested in you. Let me show you how much I care about you. Let me tell you how amazing you are. Let me tell you all these things so you realize how interested I am in you. And then he realizes, oh no, you're really on the offensive now. I actually don't have to do anything. And he begins to have so much security in the relationship that it's like, oh, cool. I totally get it. I don't have to do anything for your love. I don't have to work for it. You think I'm amazing. You think I'm awesome, right? And then he continues to take a subconscious step back while you continue to be on the offensive because you have increasing anxiety that he's going to become uninterested in you because you liked him in the first place. When if you would have just stuck to the script and sat back and relaxed while he continued to take the offensive, right? You would have continued receiving, right, from him without having to go on the offensive or do anything yourself, which is why I talked to you guys yesterday, or not yesterday, I think it was on Friday or Thursday, about how men bait you into chasing after them instead. It's like they get you in a position where now you have so much anxiety about the relationship and about him forgetting about you or not showing you the same level of interest that you then take the offensive and you become the man. As crazy as it sounds, right? You always have to step back so that you can begin receiving, because that's where you are supposed to be in your feminine energy. You are supposed to be the one taking a step back and receiving from him, not the one going on the offensive because of all your anxiety. Okay? We don't want that for you. We don't want you on the offensive because you have a whole bunch of anxiety about this relationship and about this man and about him being uninterested in you. Because as you get that anxiety, like I told you guys, as you begin to have that anxiety towards him, right, you'll begin to give him more and more security in the relationship because of your anxiety. As crazy as that sounds, I know it sounds crazy, right? As you get anxiety, you feel the need to make him feel more secure, thinking that that will make him like you more, when in reality, more of that increasing security only makes him feel like he has to take less of an offensive stance in the relationship. Okay? Because why would he need to take an offensive stand? He doesn't feel the need to gain your acceptance. He doesn't feel the need to prove himself to you. He doesn't feel the need to ensure that you like him and are interested in him and want him. Instead, you're the one with all the anxiety. You're the one feeling like you need to prove yourself to him. You're the one that feels like you need to do the absolute most to be seen and be heard and be felt and be desired, right? And so as you begin to have that energy, he continues to sit back and just say, oh, well, this is cool. I don't have to do anything. I just get to chill while you take the offensive. You be the man. I be the princess. Oh my God. Right? Rick Me says in the YouTube chat, she says, once a guy was after 3 dates confronting me, he said, you don't seem to be so into me. So he decided to stop dating. See, Rick Me, I'm glad you asked that. Everyone's saying, wow. Okay. Rick Me, I'm glad you said that, made that comment. Because it is a balance. I'm not going to come out here and tell you that when you go to guys, you should just make them absolutely feel like you have absolutely no interest in them, right? You don't want to frustrate them by making them feel like you really genuinely don't care about them, and then there's no point pursuing you. You want the same way that the men have been breadcrumbing you in your life, you want to be breadcrumbing them by giving them just enough that they feel like they're getting somewhere with you, right? And actually getting through to you and getting, more access to you, but just enough that they feel like, okay, I am motivated to keep going because I feel like it's kind of working, but not enough that they feel total and utter security in the relationship that they don't have to continue working for it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. There's a balance there. In Rick Me's situation, obviously I don't know your exact situation, but what could be happening is that if you make him feel too much like you don't care or you're uninterested, then they just say, well, what's the point of me continuing to chase, continuing to pursue, continuing to desire when clearly it's not getting me anywhere? There has to be some sort of perceived, like moving forward, right? In a positive direction, at least a little bit, that they can continue to be motivated enough to continue being on the offensive. It can't just be they're all offensive with no reward for being on the offensive all the time. He has to feel like he's getting somewhere. Okay. Kim even said it literally directly after. She said, I think balance is good and not too much playing hard to get. I 100% agree. Okay. Right. And shout out Missy America for holding down the YouTube chat. She always be holding down the YouTube chat and in there, our one and only moderator. Okay. And Madison says, does the uncertainty work on fun guys, or would it matter since they're only there to extract pineapples? Well, obviously you're going to have some guys who actually want to be in a relationship with you. Shocker. There are going to be some guys who actually want to be in a relationship with you, but the ones who are just there for pineapples, right? You will realize that when you give them uncertainty, some of them, truthfully and honestly, for some of the guys who were just fun guys and only wanted fun, truthfully and honestly, this technique works so well that for some fun guys, you're going to actually inspire them to want to chase after you because the feeling just becomes so addicting, because they come into it thinking that they can manipulate you and get what they want from you. And then they end up realizing that you're not giving them anything and they're just giving and giving without anything in return. And then they spend time thinking about the fact that you don't really seem to be that interested in them. And for some of them, it actually turns them into chasers. So the answer to that is yes, but not all of them. Some of them just give up on chasing because they're like, oh, well, I thought this was supposed to be easy for me. And now that I realize that it's not easy, I don't want that. I just want to go on dating apps, swipe right, swipe left, meet girls, and have pineapples on the first night. That's all I want, right? So for some guys, you're actually gonna make them do a 180 and start chasing after you. And so for some guys, they'll just be like, this is too much work. I don't have time for this. Okay. Anisha says, why would you want to pursue a fun guy? You wouldn't. I wouldn't advise you pursuing a fun guy or wanting to. I mean, obviously, when you are attracting, if you have the energy of a very attractive woman, you're going to attract tons of people. So obviously, you're going to attract some guys who have bad intentions. So in the process of that, sometimes some guys you're going to attract are fun guys, but that's not who you're purposely trying to seek out, right? And I always tell you guys, focus your energy on the people who you're actually trying to seek out. Don't be worried about what the guys who you don't want are doing. You understand what I'm saying? Just worry about how to identify them so you can kick them to the curb, right? Ashley says, does breadcrumbing work only during the pre-pineapple stage? I would say it works best and most efficiently at the pre-pineapple stage. I wouldn't say that it doesn't work after that. I would just say that a lot of your power, truthfully, I know you guys hate hearing this because some of you guys, it becomes disappointing and depressing because you're like, oh my God, I already made the mistake. But a lot of your power as a woman is tied to you giving your body away, because it's not obviously, well, if you're talking to me, someone who's spiritual and, emotional like me, it's not just a transfer of, he puts himself inside you and like, that's it. Like, to me, it's a transfer of energy. It's a transfer of souls, right? Part of him is actually going to live inside you for the rest of your life and vice versa, right? So that is something that is, there's a lot of power in that exchange. Okay. And for you, you're accepting him. And so you're giving yourself to him. I'm talking about physically, emotionally, spiritually, all that good stuff. And so when you give yourself to him, there's a lot of trust that's supposed to be involved in that exchange. And once you give him that amount of power and that amount of trust, it becomes very hard to then afterwards dictate the expectations or boundaries or standards in the relationship the same way you could before you have given all of that power to him. Because before that time period, you are literally in the position of having all of the power. He comes to you seeking from you what you already have, right? So if you kind of think of it, you're already whole, right? And he comes to you seeking something from you. And so you can sit back and literally say, I'm not giving anything to you until I ensure you're the person who is worthy of me giving this to. The problem is that for a lot of you, you're not thinking about it on that level of depth, rather on the level of, I just want fun. I just want to have fun. Who cares? It's not that deep. You jump right into it. And then you realize you have no power anymore. And then you also realize that right after you did it, he literally takes off that mask that he was wearing to try and get what he wanted from you. And you see that he really had no intention of spending any real time with you or building any real relationship with you. And then you're like scrambling, thinking, how do I get him to like me? How do I get him to want me? I just wasted a whole body. So what am I going to do now? I've got to do whatever I can to get you to be interested in me, to get you to see me, to get you to want me, to get you to desire me. When in reality, that process, that way of thinking should have been at the beginning before you gave all that power away to him. Right? Because if you do it at the beginning, if you're focused on your perception, if you're focused on him desiring you, if you're focused on how he treats you and how he approaches you before you give that power away, you are now the player. You are now pulling the strings. You get to say, buddy, get on your hands and knees, crawl on glass. If you ain't sniffing my farts, there's 1,000 other men ready to sniff my farts. So if you're not prepared to do what everyone else is prepared to do, I will walk away. You'll get nothing from me. And you see how you're in the bargaining position there. You're in that position of power. You want what you want from me. You're not going to get any of that until you meet my expectations and my standards that all these thousands of other men are ready to meet. They will gladly push you off of a cliff to get in the position that you're in right now. So if you don't show absolute respect and meet my expectations and standards, you will not be in this position for any time at all. Right? That's how you can use your power to your advantage to dictate the situation the way you want it. Right? But as soon as you give yourself away to that guy, you can't say that. You can't dictate the relationship like that. I mean, you can try, but you're going to look stupid. Okay. Right. You're going to look stupid, and the guys aren't going to take you seriously, truthfully, because they've already gotten from you what they wanted. And they're the ones in the position of power, because now if they walk away from you or you walk away from them, you've given yourself to someone who is not committed to you. And that was a complete waste of your energy, literally, and your time, and a waste of a body. And now you've exchanged trauma with someone who has no intention of being with you. It's just a horrible experience. Okay. Right. Very, 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 very bad. Very bad. Okay. So number 1 was the addiction. Number 2 was the debate. Number 3, we had perception. Number 4. Okay. Number 4, we have tension. So the tension that you are going to make a man feel in the process of him having all of this uncertainty throughout your relationship, throughout your situation, throughout your talking stage, right? Tension is very powerful. Tension is so powerful because it keeps your focus on that one particular thing. And it just keeps those blinders on that you cannot have room in your mind to even think about anything else going on than what is happening right in front of you right now at this very moment. Okay? Tension is great because especially when you're in these dating stages, these early dating stages, or even if you're in a later dating stage and you really just want to draw your man back in, that tension that's going to be created by the uncertainty is going to force him to be focused on the one thing, which is you. And that tension is stemming from the uncertainty of knowing, where do we stand? What do you feel? What do you want? Do you like me as much as I like you? Okay? I don't feel as if you're on the same level as me. I feel I care more about you than you care about me. That's a very anxious place to be. And the tension, Rick Me says, what kind of tension? The tension I'm referring to is the tension of feeling like someone is not truly as interested or invested in you as you want them to be. Right? And in comparison to how much you are for them. Okay, that's the tension. And the tension is coming from all the different things. Remember, I talked to you guys about the debate earlier. You're going to be, the men are going to be debating. I feel like she doesn't like me based on how she says this, how she does this, she makes this face, she talks about this, she acts like this. Those will all be his confirmations for why he feels like he doesn't like you. That's going to be contrasted with the confirmations that he feels like, well, maybe she does like me because she does this and she says this and she acts like this, right? That debate is actually tension, and the tension is going through the relationship and feeling like, but she did this and it means that, but she said this and it means that, and she said this and it means that, and all of that time spent, right? Because the whole relationship just ends up being tension when they're constantly trying to figure you out or understand you or understand what it is that you feel or what it is that you want. Excuse me. That creates in itself a constant tension in the relationship. Right? And that's exactly what you want. You want him to feel that constant tension, that he's always on edge, trying to figure you out, trying to understand you. And that at that point, when you give him the proper amount of uncertainty, every little thing that you do makes him feel like, causes him to overanalyze you. Okay? And like I said, best ways, because I know some of you guys, well, how do I create tension? How do I create all this? How do I give him uncertainty? 2 very simple ways. Don't forget this. 2 very simple ways that you create tension, anxiety, all that uncertainty, all that good stuff. You stay off the phone. And when I say stay off the phone, you don't have no damn pen pals. You only use the phone as a scheduling tool, right? To help him know when you're free that he can take you out on a nice dinner date or take you out to a nice place, whatever. You don't text for fun. You don't text to have conversation. You don't text to get to know him. I don't even want you, if he can see you, right? If you're within an hour's driving distance, I don't even want you taking calls. I want you to only be available if he is to plan and schedule an in-person date with you. Okay? Why do I say don't be available on the phone? Because a lot of men put a lot of weight on this phone. If you're not texting them 24/7, if you're not trying to be on their line 24/7, Snapchatting them, talking to them all the time, they're going to feel like you aren't that interested in them. That's going to be very confusing to them if they like you, they enjoyed their experiences with you, they like going out and spending time with you, but they don't feel like you're interested enough in them to be texting them 24/7. Even worse, that you don't text them and you're not texting them because you seem to be busy doing a whole bunch of stuff that seems a lot more fun than you have when you're hanging out with me. Now I'm insecure. I'm insecure that you don't text me, and I'm also insecure that you seem to have so many other better things to do than sit around and spend time with me or agonize if you're not speaking to me. I'm in agony not speaking to you on this phone and texting you and Snapchatting you. So the fact that you're not in agony and you're having all this damn fun, going around with friends, going out to eat, going to parks, going to museums, playing art, sipping wine, doing all this fun stuff without me, I'm going to be very insecure about our relationship and about you. Perfect. Okay? And the phone is a great way to inspire that insecurity. Stay off of the phone. Stay off of the phone. Okay? And the second way is when you go into these in-person dates and you're actually sitting down with him and you're actually having conversation with him, focus it all on him. Let him be the star of the show. Make him feel like the star of the show. Okay? Because what will happen is, as you continue, and when he does ask you questions, be vague, be general. Don't tell him what you want. Don't tell him what you expect. Don't even tell him that you're interested in him. Don't give him anything that would make him feel secure in the fact that you really want him. Okay? Give him just enough to keep him going, but never too much that he will now feel like he has nothing left to work for. Never. Okay, never. Right? And that uncertainty, remember I said uncertainty, not that he doesn't think you're not interested. So for example, if you're texting a guy, if a guy's texting you and you're like, look, I'm not a big texter. I got lots of stuff to do. I'm so busy. I don't really have time to be on the phone and stuff like that. But I would love to spend some in-person time with you. You'll get a much better version of me that way. Right? He at least feels motivated enough that, okay, if I take her out on a date, she'll enjoy that. That'll be good. Maybe she is interested. But every time you take a day to text him back, every time you're like doing something and you don't call him, every time you're like, you guys go out, but it's like the next time by the time in between you guys going out, it's like it doesn't seem like you're very interested or you care too much about what he's doing or what he's up to. He's always going to second guess himself. That is what you want. You think about everything you felt or every reason you've had to second guess yourself in a relationship with a guy when you feel so unsure about the relationship. That is exactly what you want to elicit in him. The uncertainty and feeling unsure that I get it that we're spending time together. I get it that you say you like me. I get it that we're going on dates, but do you really like me? You kind of like, you don't seem like you're that interested. You don't seem like you care that much. It doesn't seem like it matters to you that much. That is the feeling you want to be eliciting from these men. Are you guys following me? Are you guys following me so far? Are you still a little bit confused? CMS says gotta be hard to get. Right? I agree. Right? Thado says give him agony. Ashley says use their egos against them. 100%. Okay? Don't be in a rush to make the guy you like feel good and feel secure. Actually, be in a rush to make the guy you like and you actually really want. Be in a rush to make him feel insecure about you, because that will have him at your feet being like, whoa, please, what is it that you want? I'll do what you want. I feel like you're not seeing me. Like, what do you want? I'll do it, whatever you want. Give him anxiety. Give him uncertainty. Now you already know you like the guy. You don't got to say that. You don't got to do all the most because you like the guy. Sit back, relax. Okay. Don't say much. Don't talk too much, right? Gather your information, observe, right? Be strategic about giving him anxiety, give him agony, that he will be motivated to say, okay, I got to figure you out. I got to understand you. This is just, I feel like I'm going crazy here. I feel like I'm every day, I can't stop thinking about you. I can't stop thinking about everything we do. I can't stop thinking about what you're like. I can't stop thinking about seeing you. Put him in agony. And I promise you, you will have someone that you can get to do absolutely anything you want. Okay. I know that sounds horrible. I know that sounds bad. I know that sounds like manipulation. That's because it is. However, I want you to understand, if you're here with me because you feel like you've been done wrong in your relationships, you have been manipulated yourself. So it's about time you figure out and gain knowledge on how to get out of relationships what you want, instead of all the guys that you ever meet in your life getting from you what they want, and you're left lifeless and depressed and sad while they manipulate you to get what they want, when you can sit there and have him at your mercy doing what it is you want instead. Okay? Carmen says feels like playing games. Well, my thing when it comes to people saying that it's playing games, I mean, we call it playing games. The show is called The Players Club. But my thing to that is, if life was how we wanted it to be, okay, and nobody had to play any games in order to get what they want, we would live in a utopia in which everyone is happy and satisfied, and you guys wouldn't be here listening to me to figure out how you can get the leg up in your relationships or your love life. Okay? So the reality of it is, people are always going to look out for themselves first and try to get what they want out of any situation, relationship, friendship, whatever. And if you're not looking out for yourself, figuring out what you want, and then figuring out how to get what you want, you will be at a disadvantage in life, because you will constantly come across people in your life who will take from you what they want. I hate to make it sound like grim and depressing, but like, that's the actual world we live in. We don't live in a world where people will come and treat you with respect for the sake of just treating you with respect. We don't live in a world where people will just desire you for the sake of desiring you. Please, Carmen, I hope you're still here. I want to give you this example I give to everyone that says it's like playing games and you shouldn't have to play games and you should just be able to sit and do whatever you want. Carmen, please answer this, and I want all of you to answer this in the chat as well, because I don't want it to make it seem like I know everything and you guys don't know nothing and, I have all the answers. Please, everyone answer. Everyone answer. I want to ask you a question. If I was your marriage counselor, your marriage therapist, and let's say you were in a 10-year marriage that was hanging on by a thread, and in your 10-year marriage, you guys weren't having any pineapples anymore. There was no intimacy. You guys were so cold, so distant. You literally needed to come to me as your marriage counselor to figure out how you guys can get the spark back in your marriage and relationship. And if I can't help you figure that out, then this marriage is going to be over and it's going to be the end of it. And it's going to be a horrible experience. Okay. So let's say you came to me as your marriage counselor. You sit down with your husband in front of me. You're paying me top dollar as the best marriage counselor in your city. You're paying me $300 USD an hour. Okay, so whatever that translates to in your currency, you're paying me $300 USD an hour to sit down with you and have a conversation with you and help you get some more intimacy in your relationships. Now, I want you guys to answer. Let's say you came to me, you're like, please, doctor, how can we bring back the spark in our relationship? How can we desire each other more, want each other more, that we have that same fire and desire in our relationship? And I said, look, amazing couple, this is what you need to do. Follow my instructions exactly. I want you, both of you, to go home, do absolutely nothing, and choose to desire each other. Where's my degree? That's all. And you're like, wait, what? What? I'm sorry. Can you repeat that one? I think I missed it. Yes. I want you, both of you, to just go home. Don't do anything different. Nothing different. Don't do anything different. Just make the choice to desire each other more. That's all. If I was your marriage counselor and I said that to you, what would you be thinking if I said that to you as your marriage counselor? That the solution to your marriage in that scenario is to just go home and desire each other more. What would you be thinking? Tell me. I want you guys to all answer in the chat. Okay? You're paying me $300 an hour for that. That was your answer to your question and your situation I gave you. Go home and desire each other more. Clairvoyant said that's nonsense. What I'd be thinking. Don't go back to that man. I would think I need a refund. Right? Wouldn't change anything in the end. CMS says LOL. Carmen better answer too, because this is aimed at Carmen as well. Okay. You're saying to choose each other, right? Where's my refund? That's boring. Grab my purse and leave. I would say I do, but he doesn't. I get a refund. Okay. I'd want my money back, right? It's crazy. I wouldn't get it and no help, right? I'd say F no, right? I think there should be more. Carmen says, I think there should be more of communication to understand what is missing in the relationship. Well, I gave you your answer as the doctor. I said, go home and don't do anything different. Just choose, make the choice to desire each other, right? Practical advances, Carla says. And that is the key, right? And even Kim said it in the YouTube chat, right? The game playing are the steps to bring forth that desire. Right? Please, I want to pin that. So pin Carla's in the TikTok chat, pin Carla's comment, and Kim had that great answer as well. Okay. In the YouTube chat, the practical things you can do and strategies you can actually implement are what we would consider the games. Okay. Because if you're acknowledging that just making the choice to desire someone more is not actually going to help you bring that spark or desire from and in each other, then you're acknowledging it's not enough to just say, hey, true and genuine love should just be two people that love and desire each other for the sake of loving and desire each other. And throughout the course of your relationship, you shouldn't have to actually do things or play games in order to get someone to desire you or want you more. You should just be able to exist and they should want you or desire you more because it's true love. Okay, you see how those don't coincide? Because if you're saying that, then you're also agreeing that if you come to me as your marriage counselor and I tell you just choose to desire each other more, then that should be a worthy solution to your problems. right? That your husband should just choose to desire you more and everything will be fine. And you can just choose to desire him more and everything will be fine. When it actually doesn't work like that. Your husband actually needs to do things in order to help you desire him more, and vice versa. You actually need to do things in order to help him desire you more. And so out in our dating world and our real lives and our relationships, we actually need to do things in order to have people desire us more. Now, when it comes to dating people in that scenario, we think of it, oh, well, you're playing games if you're actually coming up with strategies to make people desire you more. When in reality, right, we're also saying that, well, if I actually wanted someone to desire me more, I would actually need to do things. If I wanted my husband to desire me more and we went to a marriage counselor, right, and we wanted to bring that spark back, we would actually need to do things. Meaning it takes action and it takes like actual like strategies in order to gain and get desire. It's not just existing. Okay. So I give that example to help you guys understand how it doesn't make sense to think of it as playing games when in reality, it requires work in order to get people to desire you. You can't just sit on your butt and do nothing and expect people to desire you and want you, and vice versa. People can't just sit on their butt and do nothing and expect you to just desire them for no reason. Right? Right? Gamifying dating says you think of women as objects and play games, be genuine, period. Well, I mean, that's your perspective, and I am not going to argue your perspective. But my question to you then becomes, if you feel like dating should just be genuine and people should just love each other for who they are, and we should all just live in this utopia where everyone treats each other with respect, then you probably don't have anything you need to learn from me, and you probably have the perfect relationship, in which case you have the perfect relationship, so there's no need to seek for answers. But if things haven't been working out for you, or you feel like you've been gotten taken advantage of, or you feel like you haven't quite seen the relationships or the treatment that you want to be treated as, then you probably would consider a different approach. Because if you continue having the same approach, you're going to see the same result. And if you've been unhappy with that result, then it doesn't make sense to have the same approach. Is that making sense to you guys? Right? Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. So someone says, why won't you comment on 4B? I don't know what is 4B. Okay. Rick Me says, yes. When teaching someone to play football, you wouldn't just say, now score a goal. There's a technique involved to get you in the best position to score. That was a great analogy, Kim. You're so smart. You are so smart, right? We would expect techniques and strategies in order to get to a destination, right? And the techniques and strategies, some might consider it playing games, but the reality of it is all you smart people that get out of the mindset, oh my God, it's playing games. I don't want to play games. I want genuine true love. Those of you that get out of that mindset will actually get what you want. And all the other women will be looking at you like, damn girl, how you have your man wrapped around your finger? How you have your man literally crawling on glass, ready to sniff your butt, put his nose inside your butthole, do anything for you. I can't even get my man to text me back. Don't you be thinking that yourself sometimes? I see some of these girls on Instagram, they get their man to do the absolute most for her. He's taking her on $1,000 dates. He's doing anything he can for her. He's buying her this bag, that bag. These men are doing and it's not just one man. They seem to get every man to do absolutely the most for her. And I'm sitting here, I can't even get a guy that I like to text me back. Do you guys think that that's by accident? It's not because those women are better than you. Okay. And I want you to understand, for most of you, you guys are, unless you have a huge bobblehead, a massive forehead, or some weird deformity. Okay. Most of you are attractive women. So it's not that, oh, she's so much more attractive than you that she gets things from men that you could never even dream. It's not about that. Okay. I want you to understand it's really about the approach and the technique and the strategy and the mind. and understanding what's going on, you can actually get that and receive that, right? But if you're not focused on how to do it, or you're sitting back to, but it's games. I don't want to play games. It's playing games. That's too manipulative. I'm not going to manipulate people like that. Cool. Sit back, but also realize that in the process of that, the men ain't going to be chasing after you. They're going to be looking right over your head to the other women who are actually focusing on how to increase their desire. And they're going to be the ones getting chased after and getting worshipped while you sit there like, hey, are you noticing me? Hey, you're walking right past me. Hey, I've literally given you my entire life and you're literally not even acknowledging me. You're actually taking all of the awesome amazingness energy that I gave you and you're going and talking to some other girl. You're going to be sitting there sad like that. Right? Right? Love you for being you said they chasing those women. They are, right? Women get chased, okay? You, like this shouldn't be a shocker to you. Women get chased, okay? You can inspire chasing from a man, right? You just have to know how to do it. Okay? Kayla says got to do the black cat energy. I agree. We'll have a whole show about black cat energy, right? Very important. Okay, so number 1 was addiction. Number 2 was debate. Number 3, the perception. Number 4, the tension. And number 5, we have the obsession. Now, it kind of encompasses everything that we discussed. The obsession is really just about how all of these things, that addiction, that debate, that back and forth, that increased perception value because you don't seem to have time for him, because you don't seem to be able to sit back and be in agony about him and what he's doing. That obsession created, right, is stemming from the fact that he is uncertain of you and of the relationship that he begins to obsess over. I want you guys to also imagine what obsession really is. Obsession is not indifference, okay? Obsession is not chill. I tell you guys all the time, if a guy is describing you as chill, you're doing it wrong. He should not be describing you as chill because that describes the feeling he feels, and chill really translates to indifference, meaning I don't feel any particular strong emotions when I'm around you or with you. You just embody nothing, nothing good, nothing bad. You're just existing. And if you're just existing, there's no possible way he can be obsessing over you. There's no possible way he can really be hungry and thirsty for you, that he wants to do absolutely anything he can to gain access to you, okay? Obsession is strong in nature, okay? It's intense in nature. You can't have obsession come from indifference, right? Think of it like the soil, right? You're not going to have a tree grow from concrete. Okay, you have to have a particular type of soil to put your seed in that your tree can go long and tall and beautiful. If you don't set the stage, right, have the right soil in terms of the addiction, making him debate, go back and forth with himself, having so much uncertainty, having so much insecurity and anxiety, there is no way he can have obsession towards you and towards the relationship. And truthfully and honestly, when you have a man, men falling in love is the same thing as obsession, because when he truly loves you, he's going to be obsessed with you. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what anyone says. When a man is truly in love with you, he's going to be obsessed with you. It's going to be you or you. There's no other options. Okay. He's going to want you and want you alone. He's going to have his singular focus on you. His thoughts are going to be on you. His feelings are going to be directed towards you. He's going to care a lot about you. All of that focus and attention is going to be on you. Okay, so that is very much similar to obsession. I don't care what anyone tells you, right? When all of that time and focus is on you, think of, I'm going to get mad now. Think about this logic. If men say things like happy wife, happy life, that means when men are truly committed to a woman, they understand that their singular focus has to be on the satisfaction of that woman. Think about how much focus and energy that requires. to constantly be thinking about what is the satisfaction level of that singular individual, because that singular individual's level of satisfaction will dictate whether or not I have a good and happy life. Digest that concept, okay? So I say that to say, you have to understand, in any form of love that men are truly going to feel towards you and have for you, that is going to stem from a level of obsession. Okay? And I want you to understand that this uncertainty is also a way to stimulate that obsession, that he will fall even deeper in love with you. As crazy as it sounds. The obsession, sorry for hitting the mic there, the obsession does not stem from the security of feeling like, well, there's nothing here for me to work on. There's nothing here for me to work for. You're worshiping me. You're on the offensive towards me. You're chasing after me. So I'm going to sit back and receive everything you have to offer me, because clearly it doesn't matter if I do anything for you. I clearly exist in a perfect state in which I cannot make mistakes, and I am an all-being, all-seeing, all-knowing piece of amazing awesomeness that cannot be touched or questioned. Right? Just like I just want you guys to grasp that concept. Okay? That uncertainty is the best part. And the one of the most important parts of the men, even their ability to even fall in love with you. Because love, for the men at least, I'll only speak for the men, is obsession. True love is like really obsession. It's not sitting back and being chill about things. Like, it's not sitting back and not caring about things. Even if the men try to hide their jealousy, even if they try to hide how much they care and they're good at hiding it, that doesn't mean they don't care, right? If they really love you, they're going to be obsessed with you. And when you're doing things like this, all they'll be able to do is think about you, wonder about you, wonder where you are, wonder what you're doing, wonder why you're saying this, wonder why you're saying that, right? And it just creates a very obsessive environment, right? Which is good for you, because an obsessive environment gets you what you want. Does that make sense to you guys so far, or are you confused? Do you guys have any questions about what we just discussed? Sorry so much about my internet today. I have no idea what's going on with my internet. I think I don't know why I've been having some issues today, so I'll make sure I get that fixed for tomorrow. These glitches are quite annoying for me too, because I can see when you guys are like, yo, it's glitching. Okay, I don't want it to be glitching so much for you guys. Okay, does that make sense to you guys, or are you guys confused? Rick Me says, how long does it take to get a guy obsessed? How long should a woman apply this uncertain energy? Okay, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I would say forever. I would say never allow... You don't want your partner to feel too comfortable and complacent in the relationship, that they no longer have to work for things or work for your love. I know that sounds horrible. I know it does. But truthfully, the moment people begin to feel complacent, I'm going to just tell you the truth. The moment people begin to feel complacent, they stop trying and they stop working and they stop doing the things that is necessary to keep the relationship alive, truthfully. You don't want to give him so much complacency that he feels like there's nothing left that he needs to do. I hate to make it seem like it has to be an ongoing thing forever, but truthfully, you also need to make sure you're doing things that give especially your man, space to continue desiring you and wanting to indeed chase after you, even in smaller doses that don't have to be as extreme as ignoring him or something like that. You get what I'm saying? Right? I don't know if that makes sense. So that has to be an all the time type of thing. Right? And keep in mind, I always tell you guys, please, you don't wait for me to tell you, hey, so if you've been in a 15.5-year relationship, and for what we're discussing, make sure you refer to section B, page 83, paragraph A, And you see at exactly 8:05 p.m., you say this, you talk like this, you respond like this. What? Don't wait for me to be telling you exactly how to implement the concept into your life. It's very important that you absorb the entire concept, right? And figure out, you have to do the work. Do the work. I'm a shocker, right? That I'm like, we're having a show where you actually have to do work. You have to do the work of figuring out how this concept applies to your life in a way that makes sense and how you can implement it in a way that actually works for you. Okay? Because I know some of you guys, but what should I do here? What should I say here? What about a long distance relationship? What about this kind of relationship? What about that one? What about that one? What if I saw him on the street 3 years ago and then now I'm seeing him for the first time in 27? And what do I say now? And what if he wears a blue shirt? And what if his head's red? And what if his teeth are yellow? You're not actually grasping the concept of what we're discussing or absorbing it if you're just waiting for me to give you a direct answer on your direct situation and how you should respond, because then you're not doing the critical thinking of understanding how this concept applies to your own experiences and figuring out how you can actually implement it. You understand what I'm saying? Right? So make sure in the process of us having this discussion, you're actually absorbing the information, looking at your own life or thinking about your own life and figuring out what parts of those concepts apply to your own life and how they would apply to your own life. Nothing wrong with having questions, but I just want you to, in the process of having questions, also be thinking about, okay, how do I actually implement this in my life? Or how can I actually use this to figure out my own specific situation? You understand what I'm saying? Right? Ashley says, do him a favor and keep him obsessed. I 100% agree. I 100% agree. Right? Christina says, what is the concept? Today's concept was why men fall in love with uncertainty. Okay. Lena says, how do we get them obsessed other than uncertainty? Well, that'll be for another show. We'll talk about some of the other topics, but they're very similar, right? You're not going to get a man obsessed with you by getting on your hands and knees and scrubbing the floor. Okay. But before we even get to the other episodes of this, I'll be the first one to tell you, you don't get a man to fall in love with you by getting on your hands and knees and scrubbing the floor. You don't get a man to fall in love with you by showing him you can cook the best. You don't get a man to fall in love with you by showing him how amazing you are. You don't get a man to fall in love with you by showing him how good your mouth is, by showing him how good your hands are, by showing him how good in between your legs is, or if you're really weird, by showing him how good your feet are. Okay? None of that is going to be the reason he falls in love with you. Okay? I'll be the first. It's all about the emotions and the mind. But it's about triggering very particular strong emotions in the right way at the right time that will get that to work. Okay. It's not about being a good housewife. You'll just waste your time. And I'm telling you this as a guy. Don't be trying to go out thinking that being a good housewife is what's actually going to make him fall in love with you. It's not. Okay. It's truly not. Right. Okay. So, it's Discord time. It's Discord time. For those of you beautiful people who haven't sent in your Discord question, you better send it in before I finish all the Discord questions. If you don't know, we answer questions on Discord. We're going to head over to the Discord now. It's Discord time. So if you have a question, but if you don't send it in by the time I get to it, then you're going to be out of luck. Okay. So for those of you on TikTok, on YouTube, it's in the link in the bottom of the description of the video, my Discord channel. And then you go in the relationship advice section. You can ask your question. If you're on TikTok, you just go in my link in my bio and you click that, you open it in browser, go to the relationship advice section, and then you'll be able to ask your question. So now we're answering some Discord questions for some beautiful people here. Okay, so first off, we have C. C asked, toxic in Chicago. Okay, C, let's see what you got to say. So me and my ex broke up almost a year. Almost a year, and I'm 41, and he recently turned 41 this past week, okay? We've been intimate ever since the breakup, I'm assuming. Really, it's the same relationship except with no title. Oh, mistake. We broke up due to his instability, life choices, and finances. And I will admit that I'm a bit controlling. I'm glad you admitted that. We broke up in June. In July, he met a woman 9 years his senior. Okay, so she's 50. Wow. Okay. And they are basically in a relationship. What do you mean basically? They're in a relationship. He tries to downplay it to me, but she is very vocal and forward on social media. Yes, I stalk to get answers. This is not good. I have let this woman know. Whoa, you guys be throwing stuff, and I just I have let this woman know via SM. What is this? What does SM mean? What is SM? Something message? What does it mean? That in fact, me and her man are still seeing each other. Okay. Of course she doesn't want to believe it, so social media. Of course she doesn't want to believe it, so I sent receipts. Of course he's upset and calls himself not speaking to me, but I told him, why should I care about her if you don't? Side note, she is recovering at his mama house from breast cancer, but he was having pineapples with me all the while. My question is, where do I go from here? Does he care about her? Is she a rebound, or he just can't get rid due to the circumstances? Should I leave this mess alone? Okay. Thank you, C, for asking your question. And by the way, Anitra, thank you so much for the $10 donation, super chat, and the YouTube chat. I appreciate you so much, Anitra. Thank you so much. And you've been a loyal member of the squad, the Players Club here. So I really appreciate that donation. Now, getting back to C's question. So I think in your situation, my question whenever women do this, where they reach out to the other women, my question is to you, do you, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want it to make it seem like I don't know. So tell me if this makes sense what I'm saying, guys. I always question intention sometimes, because see, in your situation, I know you want to make it, you're telling me that you told her this because you thought she should know this. This is information she should know. But if you're still considering being in a relationship with him, and you technically are still having this ongoing thing with him, did you really do it because you wanted her to know, or did you do it as a way to get her out of the picture? Okay. And the reason I ask that is because that requires its first little bit of honesty, because I feel like sometimes in these situations, we hide behind the idea that, oh, I told the other person because I just felt dishonest not letting her know. When in reality, if you really thought he was such a bad guy, and you really thought that, wow, that's crazy that you're doing that, and you found this out and you knew all this, you would just not mess with that guy in general. And so you'd have nothing to worry about. There'd be no situation for you to involve yourself with. But I feel like, and I could be wrong, but I feel like part of the reason you might have did this is because you wanted to get her out of the way. And you were hoping that telling her this would get her out of the way. And it's less about, wanting her to know, because what if you want her to know this? What if she stays with him? Then what are you going to do? You understand? Because it doesn't seem like you're necessarily okay with him having this girl in his life. And so I asked that question. My second question then becomes, if you are understanding that he is doing this to you, so you guys were exes, now you guys are messing with each other, and he's messing with another girl, what is the reason that you would want to continue a relationship with this guy? Even if, let's say, he ended this thing with this other girl, why would you want to continue being in an ongoing relationship with this guy who you said it's not even a relationship anymore? You basically, I'm not going to be mean to you, see, but I talked to you guys about this before. You do not allow yourself, should not allow yourself to downgrade your title. You have literally gone from being a wife or a girlfriend, let's just say, right? Into being a friends with benefits. And you're just sitting there with so little self-respect for yourself, you're just taking it. Like, you were in a relationship with him, you guys broke up, now you just said it's the same relationship except no title, which means no commitment on his part, which means no, and he doesn't even have to put in effort. He can just hit you up whenever he feels like hitting you up, whenever he's aged, whenever he's got some blood flow in his lower extremities. It won't be for long. He's 41, okay? And whenever he feels like it's convenient, he'll hit you up. He'll do what he needs to do with you, and then he'll discard of you, and you get nothing in return. Like you're literally in a lose-lose here, because you get nothing in return because he has no commitment to you, but you also are keeping yourself attached to someone who is actively building relationships with other women. So he's getting over this. He's moving forward with his life, and you're sitting here still consumed by this relationship that is over for him, that he's moved on from, while you get no commitment from him. There's no win. Like you're losing in every aspect. Okay? I guess you could say you're getting schlong, but I'm telling you, you go search up Tracy's dog sucking vibe, and you won't miss it that much. Trust you me. Don't ask me how I know. I know a lot about a lot of stuff, and I've experienced a lot. Okay, get a Tracy's dog sucking vibe, and you won't even be that hungry or thirsty anymore. Okay, and so I say that to say, in all seriousness, like you're losing both ways. You're losing both ways, and I just don't see what it's even necessary at this point to try to show the other girl how bad of a guy he is. You already know how bad of a guy he is. Actually, that's probably part of the reason the relationship ended. So just remove yourself from the relationship that you can heal and actually find the relationship you do want. I always tell you guys, stop focusing so much of your time and attention on the men that you aren't trying to be in a relationship with. There's no point. Just focus your time and attention on the people who you're actually trying to build a relationship with. For C, this is not a relationship. What's the purpose of even Don't talk to his girlfriend. Don't talk to him. Don't talk to no one. Just move forward, that you can actually move forward. Everything you try to figure out, but I should tell her this. I should let her know this. I should talk to him about this. I should call him out on. All of this is just an excuse to keep him around in your life, and you keep conversation with him, that you can feel like you're still having this relationship or connection with someone who's literally building other relationships with other people. So my advice to you would truly be to move on. Block him if you have to, that you can stop going back to this and entertaining this and putting your attention and focus on this. Okay, that's my advice to you. See, oh my God, you guys asked so much questions in the span. What the hell? In the span. Let's see here. So this is Miss St. Louis. No, this is Miss St. Louis' question that's been answered. Okay, perfect. That one was answered. Oh, we got a screenshot in this. Oh my God. Oh my God. And this is like a part 2. Holy guys, buckle up. Buckle up here. We got some tea here. All right. So Prim says, ex broke up with me. This is going to be crazy. Okay. My 21-year-old ex, me, right? He's a 21-year-old male, broke up with me yesterday. We weren't dating officially yet, but trying to make it work. It felt out of the blue, like it's out of nowhere, since he didn't communicate, but we had been arguing or fighting here and there. He mostly blames me for causing arguments, and he tends to shut down. He's been slightly distant lately. Anyways, while he was breaking up with me, I couldn't accept it. So I couldn't accept it, or it was so hard to accept because I had been with him for 4 years on and off. I know it was bad of me, but because I was emotional. I begged him to think about it and give it until the end of the day to make sure he was sure, but he seemed super sure. So I was crying all day thinking he wasn't going to change his mind. We were supposed to talk last night, but change of plans. Here are our texts. Oh, this is going to be so sad. I can already tell it's going to be really sad. Okay, let's see if we can zoom in here. Can we zoom in here or get some, I don't think we can. Open in browser. Let's see here. I want to get the full, as big as I possibly can of it. Now we'll just pop it up on here. Let's leave it up. It's fine like this. Okay, so she says, do you still want, let's see. She says, do you still want, read this. Do you still want to talk right now? Actually, I would prefer that we talk. I want to address a lot of things. I'm sorry. Oh my God, what times are these? Oh, you're sending these back to back to back. Also, when is your final? Mine is at 7. This is craziness. If you meant what you said about not wanting to work things out anymore, then I don't think we have anything to talk about. If that's how you feel, then I understand. I just feel like I just had more to say and explain my thought process. I genuinely think of you as my best friend. It's not like it doesn't hurt me or make me sad. Okay. I'm okay with talking after as well. It's making me sad. I don't think it was the best decision to make at the time because right now I feel like we are both very stressed and things easily get to me. So I apologize for that. I feel kind of sad and I just exploded. Okay, so that was it. All right. So Prim then goes on to say, anyways, I just don't know how to respond to him. How could he just break up to apologize or take it back? He sounded so sure that he didn't see a future with me anymore when he was breaking up with me. Okay, Prim. I'm not going to be mean here, but I'm going to tell you that this is a function of your age and of his age. And this is part of the reason why I say, there's got to be an age limit to you guys on the show. Not because you're, too young or anything, Prim. Obviously, you're on the younger side, but this is kind of some of the things that the 21-year-old men do. They're really uncertain about themselves and what they want. So a lot of times they go about their relationships the same way. That's why you have a 4-year situation that's going on and off, right? My honest advice to you, I don't know what you guys broke up for. That's the thing, okay? And make it work could mean many different things. My advice to you, though, is knowing how relationships go, you guys need to have clarity, okay? Do not, this is the very important thing. Do not, I'm not going to fault you if you end up back in this relationship, but do not be in limbo. Either be broken up or be in a full committed relationship. Don't do this halfway stuff where you're like, oh, we'll work it out. Okay, so we'll see how things go. Okay, so maybe we'll try and make it work. And then 2, 3 weeks, 4 months goes by. And then you guys are like not in a real relationship where you're girlfriend and boyfriend, but you're still spending time with each other. You're still texting each other. Oh, but then all of a sudden, because you guys aren't boyfriend and girlfriend, he can still sleep with girls. He can still go out and do what he wants. And then he'll be like, wait, but I thought we weren't dating. What do you mean I can't sleep with other girls? What do you mean I can't go out on dates with other girls? Right? Because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where he can downgrade you from being a girlfriend into being this kind of situationship, friends with benefits situation while you figure out what you want to be. And he just strings that along for as long as possible while he entertains other girls and you stay attached to him. Okay, so my advice to you is if you are going to get back into the relationship, because I can't be the judge of whether you do or not, if you are going to get back into the relationship, have a sit-down discussion where each of you address your issues and figure out what the next logical step is to coming up with solutions that those are no longer issues. And there needs to be a clear path of compromise where both people are happy with how this is going to look in the future. You can't just say, oh, I'm sorry about what I did, or I'm sorry about what I said. It has to be solution based, meaning it has to be, cool, I'm sorry about what I said or did, but here's the strategy we're going to use to prevent ourselves from being in this situation again. If you guys can have a whole conversation and come to an agreement on all of those aspects, and have a strategy for all of those solutions that were issues leading to you guys breaking up in the first place, then get back in a whole serious relationship. If that's not the case, end the relationship and don't speak to him. Don't do a halfway thing, okay? So don't put yourself in limbo. That's the best advice I could give to you, okay? Or else you'll end up being downgraded from girlfriend to friends with benefits. Waste of your time. Wow, we have back-to-back screenshots here. This is like T Central. How do I get him to be mine? Catherine K says, extra information, green flags. He compliments me behind my back, talks to me in college. He has quite a few followers on TikTok and only follows 5 people, including me. I follow 1 and it's myself. No, I'm just joking. That's a flex for no reason. Opens doors for me and does a little helpful acts of service. Okay. Red flags, still thinks about his ex. And I know this because he reposted a TikTok. He reposted a TikTok with a quote saying, when a little part of you thinks your story isn't over. This is the new thing that we're doing now, huh? So, there used to be subtweeting when, we were teenagers and stuff like, well, when I was a teenager, that, people used to read into. Now, I guess we read into people's reposts on TikTok. Quite interesting, our generation now. When a little part of you thinks the story isn't over. He's a leaf dealer, okay? He flexes his money a lot. Okay, that's what leaf dealers do. Has tattoos at like, I'm assuming you meant he got his tattoos at 16, not like he's 16. People call him a player, but I've never seen evidence of it. Snaps me. You guys know how I feel about Snapchat. Snaps me at random times of the night, like 3 a.m. or 1 a.m. I hate Snapchat so much. Random info that might be helpful. He recently joined the same gym as me. Okay. We live pretty close, so I sometimes bump into him. Okay. We only go to college together once a week. Okay. By this point, I don't know if I like him too much and need to forget him and continue focusing on my stuff. You should be focused on your stuff. To be honest, I don't know if he knows I like him that much because I don't really give it away. I only ever gave him the average compliment and being chatty with him. And I also decided to delete Snap. Thank you. Because I want to remove the pen pal energy smart to get him chasing me, but he hasn't done it long enough yet to say if I haven't done it long enough to say if it worked. Okay. So let's read this. So she says, I've been going to college since last year, September, with a guy that used to go to my old school. I found out he called me hot to my best friend's boyfriend, and I found him attractive. So I found him attractive, though I never made it known to him until a couple of weeks ago, after my newfound confidence from the compliment arrived. I dropped a hint by asking to walk to the shops with him at break. We chatted and the conversation was flowing really well. On that night, he downloaded Snapchat. What? Bearing in mind, he says he doesn't like social media apps, and I received a friend request from him from his freshly made account. The next day, we start snapping and talking, and he seems to be interested in me, so I'm happy about that. And this and that, and we continue talking and sending stupid little snaps, pointless, to gain his attention. But over a week or two, he stops talking to me as much and continues snapping me, and it feels like he's lost interest. He probably has. I told you guys how this works. Lost interest, but he's giving me more compliments behind my back to my bestie's boyfriend, saying I'm fun to talk to and beautiful, and how I'm the only one who who he talks to at college now. I have no clue whether this man is interested in me and how I can get him to meet me outside of the college setting without being the one to schedule the date. Okay. This is actually this is a perfect prime example of why I tell you guys so many times that you should avoid being a man's pen pal at all costs, because this is what happens. They begin to become complacent with the relationship, where they feel like it is not necessary for them to actually put in the work of having to see you in person and take you out on dates and spend real time with you. And they just become obsessed with Snapchatting you, texting you, a lot of low quality form of communication. And then they just stop caring. They lose interest because you become mundane and boring and uninteresting and chill, and they become indifferent to you because you're around all the time in very low quality forms that doesn't inspire him or make him feel anything. So my advice to you, Catherine, is to stop the texting. Obviously, you said you deleted Snap. Delete the Snap. Stop messaging him on any platform. Only use text if he is ready to schedule something with you. Other than that, don't bother texting him. Okay? This back and forth of him talking to your friends about how hot you are and how cute you are. Yeah, cool. That sounds cool in a High School Musical. But here in the adult world, that is not man behavior. Like, it's cool that he finds you attractive and stuff, but after a while, it kind of gets very beta male energy for him to continue just talking to your friends about how attractive you are and not actually talking to you in real life. Okay? And you really want to squeeze the life out of men's ability to contact you and spend time with you through text or Snap, because if they really like you and they're really interested in you, you want all of that energy to be focused on trying to see you in person, right? Right now, he feels very satisfied with Snapchatting you and texting you and not actually seeing you in person, probably because he's too shy, right? But I could promise you, back in the 19 whatever, before we had phones, the shy man either had to go up and muster up the courage to talk to women in person, or they got no Squirtle. Okay? They had to sit on the sidelines watching all the confident, funny, interesting men take all of the women. And they literally sat there dry, right? And depressed because they couldn't get any other woman. Their only option was to get up out of their chair, muster up some courage, and go talk to a woman, because there was no option to text her or Snapchat her or call her on the phone. You either got the courage and the confidence, or you got no Squirtle. And so you have to put yourself in that same position, where the only way for the men to access you is to get the courage and the confidence to come up to you in real life and take you out on a real date. Not sit back, relax, and text you from behind a cell phone screen that they don't have to actually build up confidence and do anything. Okay? Remove all his forms of being able to contact you outside of seeing you in person. And if he really is interested in you, you'll probably see him actually push for doing something in person. If he's not that interested in you, or he can't get over his shyness, which really just means he's not that interested in you, then you know that you dodged a bullet anyways, because why would you be trying to build a relationship with someone who you have to like force or encourage to like be motivated enough to take you out or like be a man, right? You're not dating a man at that point. You're dating a little boy. Okay, so that's my advice to you. Baby Bliss. Baby Bliss asks, this is video ideas. Okay, so I'll Baby Bliss, I'll come back to you and I'll read this on my own time, because this is video ideas. I want to address people's relationships, but don't worry, I will read your message. Okay. Goldie says, damage control. She says, please Can you talk about what to do next if a girl has already given up Squirtle? Is it too late to fix things, or has the damage already been done? Should we move on and consider it as a wasted body? Goldie, this is a great question because I know a lot of you have this question when you hear me and you come to so many realizations and you're like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. Oh my God, why would I do that? Oh my God, why did I say that? I should have done something completely different. I should have acted different. I should have done this differently. That's fine. I'll be honest with you. Your power has been lost when you give away Squirtle. I'll be so truthful with you. It is not impossible to get a guy interested in you after you give him Squirtle. However, it is very hard to close to impossible because now you're banking on somehow he will, despite him experiencing you as an average everyday fun girl, somehow he'll be able to look past that and still have the same desire and hunger for you that he would have before he slept with you. And it's honestly, truthfully, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to try to dictate the rules after you've given away your power. You understand? Because what are you going to say? What are you going to say now, Goldie? I'm not going to sleep with you. You already did. So there's no lose there. I'm going to break up with you or I'm going to walk away. He'll be like, cool, I already slept with you, so I'm not missing out on anything, right? You've given him the ultimate investment. It's a position of power, right? You've given away your power now, so it's tough to come back. Your only hope is to pull all the way back, not text him, not call him, not message him, not anything, and hope that absence makes him feel like, well, there was more that I liked about you, about spending time with you, than just using you for your Squirtle. And it forces him to reach out. Now you can start saying, hey, if you want access to me, it's under this and this and this and this circumstance, right? And only if he's already super interested in you will he be willing to jump through those hoops to continue getting access to you, even if he already slept with you. If he's not that interested in it though, and it doesn't matter to him that much, he'll just say, oh, you're trying to make this difficult for me when I already slept with you. Get out of here. I don't have time for this. I'm not interested. Right? So, honestly, I would move on without hoping that it'll, like, he'll all of a sudden magically want to be interested in you, because having that hope will only make it harder for you to actually move on. So my advice to you would be to move on, but at least use that as a learning lesson, that before you jump into giving your Squirtle away, be very aware that you're giving your power away in that process. So if you don't feel like you can trust him with giving your power away to him, right, then you should not be giving your Squirtle away to him. Okay. I know it's depressing, but it's true. Kitten says, let me see Kittens. Kitten Dream says, hi, I'd like some advice. I'm 29, female, single. I bought a piece of art from my ex to support him when he needed it last year, but I never accepted the piece into my possession because it feels too sentimental to have. It's a piece of art. I'm confused. I paid $400 for the piece of art, and I told him he could resell it, but he said he'll always consider it mine, so he won't. I mean, you paid for it, so it is yours. Okay? We haven't been in contact since January, but I feel like I might need to open it to get the piece shipped to me. Oh, I'm going to get mad about this. So at least I can figure out what to do with it. I thought about burning it, or should I let it go? Okay, Kitten, I'm glad you asked this question. I'm going to get mad about this because I had a conversation with you guys about this specific type of thing. Kitten, let's be so for real. When you were with him and you were getting schlong inside your Squirtle, right? You didn't give a damn about this $400. You gave him the $400 and told him, by golly gee, take my $400 and then resell it and make more profit. See, you were the nicest, most considerate, most generous person with your money when, he was penetrating your Squirtle and you felt like, you guys were in a relationship. Okay. All of a sudden, now that you're not in a relationship anymore, you're looking for reasons to get your money back. But when you were in the relationship, you weren't in no damn rush to get your money back. So what that tells me is it's not really about getting your money back, because if it was, that $400 would have been important to you then, or you would have actually wanted to get the painting then, because you didn't just want to give $400 away for no reason, because essentially that's what you did. You just donated him $400 for the sake of donating him $400. Okay. So if it wasn't important to you back then, don't hide under the fact that you want to see him again, right? Or see him one last time, or speak to him one last time, by saying, oh, now you want your $400 back. You want to open the piece and get it shipped to you. Oh, poor kitten wants her art piece now. It didn't matter to you when you are in a relationship with him. Don't pretend like it matters to you now that you guys aren't in a situation or relationship anymore because you want to see him again. Don't make that excuse, okay? All you're doing is prolonging the fact that this relationship is over, and instead of moving on, you're trying to hold things hostage to tie you with this person continuously. It's unhealthy for you and him, because let's just say in a hypothetical scenario, you end up trying to contact him and get your money back or get the art piece, and now you guys sleep together again. Okay, cool. Now you create this ongoing thing where you actually trick yourself, because probably when you start sleeping with him again, you don't worry too much about the $400. And now he probably has you in a way where you're kind of friends with benefits, but not really committed to each other. So you're continuing to invest yourself in someone who's probably moving on with their life and doing other things and sleeping with other people, while you don't give yourself an opportunity to heal and move on from the relationship. And you probably won't care about your $400 because you're sleeping with him and still feeling like you have access to him. My point being is this whole thing is a waste of your time, kitten. You're better served letting it go, moving forward, and being honest with yourself that if you truly wanted that $400 back, you would have actually tried to get it when you were in the relationship. Or if you truly wanted the art piece, you would have actually got what you paid for when you were in the relationship. Okay? It's not like he held it hostage, and it's not like he didn't allow you to get the painting. You chose to leave it to him to resell. So don't act like you and all of a sudden now you came to the epiphany that you need it and you want it now. Okay. Kachan says, I mean, money is money. That's my whole thing, is that if the money was that important to you though, right? If it's still that important to you, then go get a lawyer and get your $400 back. If the money is super that important to you that it's life-changing. If it's not important enough for you to go get a lawyer to try to get your money back, then that's your answer right there. You don't really actually care about the money. You just want it as an excuse to see him or speak to him again. The same way you keep someone's clothes saying, oh, I'll return those clothes to you later, knowing that that's an opportunity for you to speak to that person again. Okay. That's the show for today. I'll answer any questions that I didn't get to answer. I'll answer them in tomorrow's show. So if you didn't get your question answered today, don't worry. I'll answer them in tomorrow's show. My Instagram is up there for you guys on the top left. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram and see every single thing I'm doing, all aspects of the day. Sahar said, no, one more, please. Don't worry. I'll be on tomorrow. Just come on tomorrow. That reminds me, every day I'm on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're ever thinking, when should I catch him? Just type in on Google, 4 p.m. Eastern time in whatever your time zone is. And that's what time I will be live streaming. Okay. Or you can just turn my notifications on or on TikTok or YouTube, and you'll know exactly when I'm live. I do all my questions at the end. If you guys want to rewatch the show in its entirety, you can head over to YouTube. I think we had a record number of people in the show today. You can head over to the YouTube on top of my head, the YouTube logo. Just type in my name on YouTube and you'll go in the live section and you'll find this live show along with every other live show I've ever done since the beginning of time, on there. And you can watch it with the TikTok live chat embedded and the YouTube live chat embedded as well. So you'll be able to follow all the amazing conversation going on. All right. That is the show for today. I will see you guys right on time, 4 p.m. Eastern time sharp tomorrow. And we'll spend lots of amazing time with each other once again. Okay. Bye.